Namaste friends, welcome to YogaCandi. My name's Candice. Today is day one of our 5-day yoga strength challenge. So today we're going to be focusing on arm and shoulder exercises. So all you're going to need is a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have them, then grab a couple of thick books or something like that. So we're going to begin in a tabletop position, just starting to warm up the wrists, because there's going to be a fair bit of pressure on the hands today. I want you guys to be really mindful about where you're putting your weight while we're in certain positions like plank, and even while we're here in tabletop. So what I'd like you to make sure you're doing is that you're putting all your weight into all of the padded areas of the hand instead of just into the wrists. This is what actually, over time, the more you do yoga, causes wrist pain. So I've actually got very small wrists myself, and when I first began yoga I thought, how am I going to cope with all these sort of pressures on the wrists? But it's actually not so bad if you're mindful about where you're placing your weight. So we're going to really spread our fingers, making sure that you're lifting up through that inner arch of the hand just a little bit. It's a very small move, that. But you're putting all of your weight into the knife edge, which is a nice padded part of the hand, and then also into all of the padded parts of the knuckle and a little bit in the wrist. So not all of the weight is into the wrists. You're lifting up through the shoulder blades, and we're going to turn our hands externally so that our fingertips are facing towards our bodies. So we've got our fingers facing towards the body. Left hand went anti-clockwise, right hand goes clockwise. From here we're going to make a few little circles. So do some circles in one direction, making sure that you're keeping lifted out of those shoulder blades. Try to keep your spine nice and long, and suck that belly up towards your spine. So take a few more rolls here in one direction, and then become still and start to send your bum back towards your heels. You'll start to feel a stretch down the back of the forearms, maybe a little bit into the fingers as well. Take your time, be gentle, just make sure it's not too intense. And then come on forward, and we're going to rotate in the opposite direction this time. So you can do as big or as small a circles as you like. Just whatever feels good here, just warming up the wrists, getting them ready for all of the weight that we're going to be bearing onto them today. Remember, at any point during the class today, if you need to take a break, just sit back in a child's pose or enjoy a nice little meditative position, closing the eyes and waiting for the next position to begin. Okay, you can stop rotating and start to walk the hands towards the body a little bit. And then send your bum all the way down to your heels. You can keep the toes tucked at this point if you would like to. Play around with walking the hands forward and back, and just find a position that works well for you. Find a position that feels really good and a nice stretch. Then close your eyes, and we're going to start to tune into the inner body, start to deepen our breath. This nice deep breath, I want you to keep it throughout the practice. Even if something's really tough, make sure that you're paying all your attention to your breath and to the sensations of the body. So we're keeping that integrity of mindfulness throughout the class. Now release the weight off the palms and take the back of the hands down to the ground this time with the fingertips facing towards the body. Start to lean backwards. The thumbs are facing each other on the inside of the body, and start to lean back, just stretching the top of the palms this time. You can even lift those wrists ever so slightly off of the ground. Just play around with this. Don't put too much pressure. You're not really leaning on top of the arms. You're just giving a little gentle pressure. You can even do little pulses back and forth. And then release. Take your hands up to your legs and give them a little shake out. rotating them in one direction and then in the other. And you can take these exercises at the end of the class as well if you would like to. So let's come back into our tabletop. Keep your toes untucked and walk your hands forward. Now this is the easier version of plank, and you're more than welcome to stay in the easy version throughout the class today. And then with time, as you start to build strength, you may come up off of the knees and into a nice strong tall plank. But whichever variation works for you, we're going to start with the beginner version to begin with, just so you can feel this out. So from here, we're going to exhale down, keeping the elbows as close to the body as possible to our Chaturanga, keeping the chest off of the ground, elbows close to the body. We're going to count for 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, push up. Let's do that another couple of times. Exhale, Chaturanga. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, push yourself up. You may find that's really tough. On the last one, I'm going to do a full plank, and those of you that would like to join me, feel free. So zip your legs tightly together, suck up through the core. Exhale down. Chaturanga. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push yourself up. Back in your plank. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Those that are in an easy plank, then just meet us in downward facing dog. Take your time getting there. Walk your legs out, feeling through the hamstrings. Making sure that you're not putting all your weight just into the wrists. Now we're going to take an active downward dog. So you're going to bend the elbows, but keeping them close towards the ears, pulling the shoulder blades apart. Just by bending the elbows, you're going to feel so much more engagement in the arms. And don't worry if your heels are not touching the ground. Let's hold this for a couple of deep breaths. And then come all the way down to the forearms. Keeping your bum up in the air, forearms shoulder distance apart. Spread through the fingers. Now we're in Dolphin. You can stay here, pulling the shoulder blades away from the ears, sucking up through the core. Or you can start to walk your legs a little closer towards the body. Just make sure you're lifting out of the shoulders, you're not sinking down, and you're allowing your neck to hang heavy. Hold this for a couple of breaths. And then walk your legs back. So we're in a forearm plank this time. Sucking up through the core. Hold it. And exhale, belly down to the ground. Come in for a nice Sphinx just for a moment. Taking a baby back bend here, sucking the legs together. Opening through the chest. Pulling the shoulder blades together. You may already feel a bit of a burn in the shoulders and in the arms. That's great if you are. We're working them today. Now take your feet together. Knees as wide as the mat. Let's take a little child's pose. Extend through the arms, forehead down to the ground. Enjoy some nice deep breaths here. Okay, bring the knees together. Come out of your child's pose. We're going to keep our arms forearm distance. You can interlace the fingers together And we're going to come into a forearm plank. So send the legs out long, suck in the belly, and let's hold this just for some nice deep breaths. You can close your eyes. Make sure that your elbows are stacked with the shoulders. And then send the tailbone up to the sky, back in for our dolphin. Lift up through the shoulders. Keep the shoulder blades pulling apart, externally rotating them. Keep them away from the ears. Look straight down towards the feet. Hold this for a few breaths. Now push up onto one hand and then onto the other, making your way to downward facing dog. Hands are shoulder distance, feet are hip distance. Take an exhale out the mouth. Start to walk your dog. And now exhale, roll your spine forward into a plank. You can take your nice easy plank by taking the knees down to the ground. Hold this for a couple of deep breaths. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale for a back bend of your choice. Baby cobra, full cobra, or upward facing dog. And then meet me back in downward facing dog. We're going to do that a couple more times. So walk the feet in your dog. Take the nice easy variation of taking the knees to the ground in your plank. And then Chaturangaing all the way down to your belly. And just taking a little mini back bend and then meeting us back in downward facing dog. But if you want to take the harder version, you can follow along with me. Suck up through the belly. And exhale, roll forward, rolling the spine back into your plank. Take a couple of deep breaths, lifting up through the shoulder blades. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale for your back bend. And meet me in downward facing dog. Take your dog for another little walk. And we're going to do that one more time. Take the variation that works for your body. Now we're going to exhale, roll forward to your plank. Hold it for a couple of deep breaths. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, back bend of your choice. And meet me back in downward facing dog, or now is a good time to take a child's pose. In fact, we'll all take a child's pose. Take your knees as wide as your mat. Send your arms down to the ground, either chest and chin to the floor, or just your forehead down to the ground. Let's enjoy some nice deep breaths here. And come on up, send your bum to your heels. Just sit in any position that works for you. Let's give our wrists a little roll from one direction and then in the opposite. You can extend through the fingers, pulling the fingers back towards you. and then in the opposite direction, just giving them a little bit of TLC before our final challenge. We're going to have a go at crow. Now I know I've done a fair few, I think I've done about 2 videos with crow, but it's one of the best beginner arm balances to start with. And it's also one of the toughest actually, especially because when you're first beginning it can feel quite sore on the arms. And release, give the hands a little shake out. And we're going to come on forward. So we're going to plant our hands once again. Now you're more than welcome to use your blocks. This is where they might come in handy today, where we're going to use them to stand onto. So you can always have them on the lowest point. This may just help you play around with pretending to get into crow if you're not quite there yet. So make sure that they're hip distance apart. Bring your arms down to the ground, but make sure that they're bent. You can start to lean forward with your feet on your props. If this is really scary for you, you can even put something between you and the floor, maybe a cushion or something. But this is all I want you to do. If you have never tried crow before, I just want you to play around with rocking back and forth on your props with the knees close towards your armpits, up high in the arm. So your knees are really high up in the arm. You may find this is hurting the back of your arms if you're just beginning. With time that will definitely ease off, don't worry. So this is all you're going to do, and you're going to really lift up through the core. You're going to just rock back and forth, taking breaks whenever you need to. If you're ready to play around with actually getting into crow, and maybe eventually you'll be able to lift both legs, then you're going to put your props aside, hands shoulder distance apart. We're going to lift up onto the legs, walk our legs pretty close to our hands. Start to bend through the arms. The legs are also very bent. You're going to take the knees towards the armpits, and you can even just play around with this, leaning forward. Perhaps you just want to play around with lifting one leg and balancing forward with the other leg still on the ground. And then take it in turns, balancing, just lifting the opposite leg. And take breaks. Whenever you need to, you can go back into a child's pose. You can sit and meditate just for a moment. If you're ready to come up into your crow, this is a really great one for strengthening the arms, the core, in fact, just the whole body. So let's keep our fingertips spread, lifting up through the arches of the hands. Not all of the weight is going into the wrists, remember that. Lift up through the bum. Get your feet close towards the hands. Open up a bit through the legs so that you've got them up high into the arms towards the armpits. From here you're going to suck in the belly, and you're going to try to lift either one foot at a time or lift them both together, and lifting those heels towards your bum. So start to lean forward. Maybe you pop both feet, maybe you just pop one. If you've got both your feet lifted, hold it a couple of breaths. And slowly come on out of it. Everybody take a little rest. Bring the soles of the feet together. Allow the knees to fall apart. Take one of your blocks in front of you. You can either just stay up seated like this with your hands behind your back. Maybe your knees will be quite lifted. If they're not, and you can walk forward, start to walk forward, perhaps bring your forearms down to the ground and rest your head onto your prop just for a moment. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale out the mouth, sighing as you do. And again. We're going to have one more go of crow. Those of you that have had enough, maybe you're a bit tired, maybe your arms are a bit sore, you can just take a lovely child's pose now, opening the knees as wide as the mat, and just enjoy a moment with your body. If you would like to have one more go, we're going to plant the hands shoulder distance apart, fingertips spread. Lift up through the bum, get those knees close towards the armpits. You can hold it for as many breaths as you like, or just take a couple of deep breaths if you manage to get into your full crow. Lean forward, maybe you pop both feet, maybe just one. Lift the feet towards the bum. And slowly come on out of it. Release out the mouth. Now everybody, extend your legs out long in front of you. Keep your hands, your fingertips facing towards the bum. And then bend the knees so they should be hip distance apart. We're just going to do a little stretch of the arms. Take a moment. We're going to take a reverse tabletop. So inhale the hips up towards the sky. Allow your head to fall back, opening up through the shoulders. Suck in that belly. Knees are hip distance apart. Take one more deep breath. And very, very slowly release the bum back down to the ground, and then the head lifts. Extend the legs out long. Give your hands a little shake. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Feel free to go over to a nice meditation or over to our guided Shavasana just to end your class in the perfect way. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Until then, Namaste.